Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hello, and good morning to you. November 19 is the date, and it's a Tuesday, and every time I say it's a Tuesday, it means that Susan's joining us, my kid sister. Hi, Suze.
Good morning.
Good morning. I have to tell you, I was just listening to the opening statement by...
Me too, yeah.
Is he a lieutenant colonel? I don't know, Vindman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it made me almost weep. And to think that he's about to be savaged by these Republicans on the committee. For those who didn't hear it, let me just say, I want to quote some of what he said. He said, "Next month will mark 40 years since my family arrived in the United States as refugees. When my father was 47, he left behind his entire life and the only home he had ever known to start over in the United States so that his 3 sons could have better, safer lives. His courageous decision inspired a deep sense of gratitude in my brothers and me and instilled in us a sense of duty and service." And then I'm just going to skip and talks about how all of them have gone on to military careers. And he said, I am in Russia. He was aware that in Russia, my act of expressing my concerns to the chain of command in an official and private channel would have severe personal and professional repercussions, and offering public testimony involving the president would surely cost me my life. I am grateful for my father's brave act of hope 40 years ago and for the privilege of being an American citizen and public servant where I can live free of fear for mine and my family's safety. And I just want to insert here that one of the things I saw today is from the Wall Street Journal that says this: the United States Army is monitoring Vindman's security and is prepared to move him and his family to a local military base if necessary, following his impeachment testimony.
Well, and he's being crystal clear and brutal. I mean, he characterized Trump's conversation with the Ukrainian president as a demand. He started with a different word, request, and he said, no, demand.
Yeah, he's come out swinging. But also the fact that here he is in his opening statement saying, thanks to my father, he got us to a place where I can do what I am doing today without fear for my life and my family's security, when in fact there is concern about his life and his family's security by his own employer, the U.S. Army, who are thinking, who have contingency plans to move him and his family to a military base for security. That's not coming from some hysterical left-wing rag. That's coming from the U.S. Army, as reported in the Wall Street Journal.
That famous leftist rag.
Right. And then he ended, I'm assuming his father is maybe deceased. I don't know, because he ended his introductory remarks by saying, "Dad, my sitting here today in the U.S. Capitol talking to our elected officials is proof that you made the right decision 40 years ago to leave the Soviet Union and to come to the United States in search of a better life for our family. Do not worry. I will be fine for telling the truth. Thank you again for your consideration." I mean...
Yeah, no, his father's alive. He's just 87.
Oh. And his dad is worried about him because he's already seen how the slander that is directed at him. Good Lord. Good. And even the slander of this woman who's seated next to him, who was appointed to the vice president's, national security. Staff.
Yeah.
She has served, what'd she say, two Republican administrations, one. She is not in any way. She said her hero was Condoleezza Rice.
Right.
And they're going to call her a never-Trumper.
Right. Well, I have to say that, again, when I was listening to the opening statements, I was struck by how the Republicans have so much nothing that they use their time to testify as to their story because nobody else will.
That's right.
So they put out their, and what I found even more remarkable was that, and I can't remember who it was, the gentleman that was, I don't want to use the word, the man that was making those opening comments actually called his version a story.
Nunez?
And
Are you talking about Nunez?
I don't think it was Nunez. Was it Nunez?
Yeah,
Maybe
because he's the ranking
yeah.
member.
Okay.
After Schiff spoke, then.
Well, he called it a story himself.
And I mean, he was left with like coming up with headlines from stories. What he did was he trashed the media. He said, "I want to address the American people who are watching this," and then he went on to say, "Do not trust anything you read in newspapers. Only trust right-wing journalism.
Only listen to our story." He called it a story.
Only listen to our story, our narrative.
But the fact of the matter is they can't get one of these witnesses to testify to their narrative. As a matter of fact, the only thing any of these witnesses are doing is saying, "No, that's false.
Right.
That's been discredited. No, we didn't know what you guys were talking about." That's all they say. So I don't know how much longer we can. I mean, I'm.
Look at this.
Can you look at these people and not believe them?
Yeah, but also, how can you look at the Republicans here and feel that our country is safe?
You can't.
No. They don't give a damn. They're frightening. They're frightening. And what they will do today, their job today is to smear that son of refugees, that refugee who has shed blood for America, who has done nothing but serve America, and they are going to...
Who is clearly well respected and admired by his fellow soldiers.
It's something. So anyway, it's scary. I'm sorry. I've gotten scared. So, Susan,
Well,
I'm wearing a scarf today because I put on this, which I haven't worn since last winter, and there's a big moth hole right here. So I'm wearing a scarf.
Wait a minute. Do I have to tune in so I can look at you?
No, I'm not showing the whole thing. Is I'm hiding that, and then I put these on, and when I got out in the light, I sort of dress in the dark, I think, and the top doesn't match my pants, and the shoes don't match. And what is with these? I'm wearing Bombas socks.
Yeah.
So what is with? And then I put on the wrong shoes. But what is with? Do you see these socks? They have a design.
Yeah, around the feet.
Well,
you mean?
I don't want a design there. It's poking out of my. What do I want that for? If I wear a regular shoe.
Well, it's part of the Bombas thing.
Well, screw them.
It hugs your foot. That design.
Well,
is...
how about hugging it without making a big deal about it? You don't have to make it white, a different color with a design. I feel that, it's tighter at the arch, which is nice, I guess. Anyway, I am dressed. I've got to go home and try again. This whole thing is wrong. I'm embarrassed. I got holes, nothing matches, my socks are poking out, looking silly.
Yes, but overall, because I have tuned in to look at you, the effect is quite nice, so be quiet.
Okay, you can't tell, right?
I'm interested that you have my avatar up there.
Oh, we do? We have the avatar up?
Uh-huh.
What, you want us to put the picture of from the weekend up?
Yeah.
Is there any way to share that during the show? It's on Facebook. Susan and me, her son took a picture of us at her daughter's wedding that you know what, I was looking at that picture and it's just, we look happy.
We look happy and unstressed and relatively good.
Yeah. So that was nice. I'm just saying. Okay, so, all right. You see, I mean, yeah. We have a call. Let's see what happens. Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, I wanted to ask you, who do you think did worse? Now, I think both men should be impeached, but who do you think is worse, Bush or Trump? What Bush did lied about the Iraq War, or do you think Trump's situation is worse? If Bush didn't get impeached, then why would they impeach Trump? But for one thing, they don't have the votes. But don't you think, I think it gets worse as it goes along, but I think Bush should have been impeached. So it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying?
You're saying that,
well, but you couldn't, you can't, I mean, he wasn't lying to us. He listened to the wrong liar. I mean, I don't know that
Cheney,
he committed an impeachable offense.
Other than being
they
stupid
didn't
and
investigation, though.
Well, you know, the fact is that what our current president is doing is literally
trashing our nation,
seemingly doing everything he does seems to benefit Russia and harm us. He is a clear and present danger.
Oh, I agree.
Well, he's got to. I mean, I don't know. And what do you think the trip to the hospital was?
I was
this
just
weekend?
thinking that. How sick do we? How anxious do you think that this is making?
That's
him,
what
that
I'm thinking. Was he like maybe having chest pains?
Suffering stress symptoms.
Right.
And I've started to up my nightly prayers.
Susan.
That he should be stressed out by every lie. Oh God, may you help him recognize that every lie he has told is eating away at his flesh, and may he somehow spontaneously combust tonight. I leave it in your hands, dear Lord.
That's your prayer before you go to bed? Okay.
Yeah, I feel so much better.
Okay. Well, so caller, listen, I don't know. I don't know what to say except he's destroying every institution. He's destroying everything. And if he gets 4 more years, there won't be a recognizable United States of America left.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, and heaven forbid, Bush cost more Americans their lives that didn't need to die.
Well, not just Americans, Susan, the Iraqis, and set off ISIS and all of. I mean, everything we're dealing with today is a result of the absolute extraordinary stupidity of that war. Millions of lives lost or disrupted or forever harmed. Oh, God.
Changed.
I'll tell you, let's keep electing Republicans. They're really, they're wonderful people. Real smart. They tell you they're going to do one thing, then they do the opposite. They talk about they're all about national security, and all of a sudden you're less secure than ever. They talk about balanced budgets, and all of a sudden you're sitting on more debt, and the deficit is, trillions of dollars or something. I mean, these guys, they talk about family values, and then, elect a guy who openly brags about, grabbing women's genitals. I mean, come on! How can anyone identify with that party and look themselves in the face? In a mirror. Because it's hard to look yourself in the face otherwise. All right. Um, oh, God help us. And did you see? So Barack Obama is now lefties are all over him because he gave a speech, I guess this weekend, some speech. I don't know where he was. And he said this. He says, I don't think we should be deluded into thinking that the resistance to certain approaches to things is simply because voters haven't heard a bold enough proposal. And if they hear something as bold as possible, then immediately that's going to activate them. People rightly are cautious because they don't have a lot of margin for error. And then he says, and this is where I think he's absolutely right, although others will disagree, this is still a country that is less revolutionary than it is interested in improvement. Americans like seeing things improved, but the average American doesn't think we have to completely tear down the system and remake it. I think he's right about that. This is a relatively cautious population.
It just speaks to human nature, Lynn. People are terrified by change and comforted by that which they know. So if you're threatening to take that which they know and are comfortable with, even if it's defective, away from them and replace it with something that they don't know how to work, there's going to be some natural, just human resistance to it. If you offer them a better, new, and improved, that feels far more comfortable. And I just think it's psychological.
Well, but it's big. I mean, human nature is a big thing to take. Yeah, so
and I think that's why Pete Buttigieg is going to the head of the polls,
right? Because
he seems to be the most measured and incrementally changed kind of a guy.
Well, I do think that here's where there's a real divide in the Democratic Party between the progressives who want just come on, this is our moment, let's take it, let's move things, let's change things, and people who are more cautious. And I don't know. I jump from side to side depending on my mood. But I do think Obama is right in engaging the psychology of the population. And we always have to remember that the more activist and more left members of the party are not necessarily indicative of the voters who will vote in the general election and perhaps who are willing to vote for a Democrat when they might have voted for Trump. I don't know what to say. I don't know. But so they're all over him. And it says here, somebody said, liberal activists jumped on Obama. He got a resounding chorus of, okay, boomer. Now, I got to tell you, first of all, he's not a boomer.
Oh, and it's just such a...
You can't say okay, boomer to him. Yeah. You can say it to me. I think it's okay. I don't mind it. Yeah, does it really offend you? I think it's sort of funny.
No, right.
I mean, it's a way of just shutting up old people and saying, thanks a lot, okay, boomer. It's like mansplaining. Right. It's mansplaining.
Right.
It's like right. So
right.
I don't have a problem with it. I know I've been on the receiving end of it from my own son a few times. Okay, boomer. Yeah, right. Anyway, but here's the thing. Boomers too are and were at the forefront of most of the huge social progressive change in this country. I want to remind those who so dismiss the boomer generation. It was the boomers who were out in the streets for civil rights. It was the boomers who were out there for women's liberation. It was the boomers who put all that stuff out there and were against the war and blah, 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 civil rights, gay rights. So, fine, have your fun, but
well, let's
whatever.
just point out that we might be boomers, but all those generations below us have been voting for a very long time, or at least had the right to. So you can't blame this all on us. Most of these people have been on the scene with as much ability to change things as you or I.
Who? You mean the younger ones?
Yeah, I mean, the younger, my kids are about to be 40. They've been voting for, a while now.
Decades.
So it's not all our fault.
Yeah!
It's like these generations think they have no responsibility for anything because there's a generation above them to blame. Sorry.
Yeah. Right. So there.
You're young with energy. We're exhausted. Get to it. It's Lynn and me that walked through these doors and suffered all of this crap. And we're right back there again. I'll talk to the younger women who say that they aren't feminists. Don't blame that on me, young ladies. Go read your history.
Anyway, now people are texting me about emailing me about socks to buy.
I do think that they have dress socks that don't have that. You have to actually scroll through and look at the pictures.
I'm being told Bombas are made in China. Fuck them.
Well, they also give away a pair for every
Oh,
pair you
so
buy.
they say. Do you believe it?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Uh-huh. They
Susan,
can afford it. They make them in China.
Yeah.
Yeah, better you should make them here and employ people, and then you won't need to give them socks.
Yeah, there's an idea. God almighty. Okay, what we got here? I have a hey, by the way, if any of you are sort of like multitasking and watching the testimony, if anything particularly egregious happens, I got to tell you, with what's his name, Sondland, is that his name? Yeah, testifying on, is it tomorrow? I think Wednesday. I so want to hear that I don't know. Maybe I'll do the show up until the time they start questioning him or something, and then I'm out. I don't know. I really need to hear it. Of course, I can hear it later, but I mean, come on.
You can hear it later, but there's something about hearing it. I'm like being tortured watching it, and
not being able
really
to hear. Yeah. Well, put closed captioning on, and then you can. Oh no, they can't close. It's not going to close caption. Anyway.
No, it is closed caption, but I'm old, and it's a little TV up here, and I don't think I can read it that far.
Okay. Well, then let me tell you about the obituary for the day. Just Azelia White, who of course was black.
Azelia or Azalea?
It's AZE, Azelia, or Azelia. Azelia White, who, like so many people named White, is black.
Right, and of course, that's what I was thinking.
Well, I mean, isn't there a funny Larry David? Oh God, there is about that. But I can't, for the life of me, of course, think of exactly what it is. Anyway, Azelia White has died, and I'm not going to do a lot on it, but she was one of the first African-American women to have a pilot's license in the United States, and she died in a nursing home. She was 106.
Wow.
And here's the line that made me laugh out loud. A great niece Amelia Bailey confirmed her death and said she did not know the cause. And I... She was 106. Oh, God. No, her...
Well, it just proves that I guess flying is not as dangerous as we think it is. Maybe it contributed to her long life, the sheer exhilaration of it.
Yeah, well, she said she felt free. And she, her dad was a mechanic for the Tuskegee Airmen. So she grew up around these planes. In fact, she grew up in Tuskegee. And then her husband, or father or husband was, I don't know, I can't make it, 106, probably her husband. Anyway, she was just voted into the Texas Aviation Hall of Fame along with James Lovell, who was commander of the Apollo 13. Whatever. So she said this during her...
Okay, we just have to start rewriting our history now, so kids learn that there were women, populating all of these same theaters, all of these same operations,
Right.
doing all of the same things, and doing it in spite of everybody around them telling them they couldn't. And then if you're a black woman to boot, for her to do it is just
amazing,
mind-boggling.
I know.
And should be a lesson to us all that if there's anything in the world that you think you would want to do, well, just get up off your ass and do it. If she could do that, you can do whatever you want. There aren't any reasons why you can't. There's only reasons why you can. Go do it.
There you go. Nike is going to be contacting you for using their... Well, you said... Did you say just do it? No, you didn't quite.
Oh, I guess.
Anyway...
I don't know. They cannot copyright the English language.
Oh, yes, they can. There are people who now have copyrights on words. Did you know? They do. Or they try.
I know.
Jesus. Anyway, it says here, she reflected that as an African American in the Jim Crow South, she simply judged it safer to travel through the air than on unfamiliar roadways.
I'm sure.
Yeah. They couldn't get her up there. God almighty. So anyway, there's that, which I thought was nice.
Well, I like that one. I like your obituaries.
I know. I haven't had any good ones for a long time, it seems. I don't know. Not enough great people are dying.
Speaking of which, I drove our mother back to Green Bay yesterday.
Right.
And I had to drive her immediately to urgent care because she's so anxious about what it is that is going to take her out that anytime anything happens, she decides that's it.
What happened? That you went to what?
She thought she had a blood clot in her wrist, and it was hurting her, and it was moving. And I said, Mother, this has happened before, and that can't kill you, I promise. And she said, no, it hasn't. And I said, okay, let's just go to the doctor so he can tell you it's nothing. So we went, and he told her exactly what I just told her, and had told her, and then she felt better.
Well, you know, if you've lived 90-plus years and have really essentially never been sick, I mean...
Right.
Never had pain, never had any, that
Well, and you just figure, I think in her case, she just figures her time is, the odds are, her time is running out. And at this point,
yeah.
she's just, she just wants to know what it is. She, and so everything that happens, she thinks this could be the thing. And I just decided to short circuit the anxiety. That was my treatment.
Well, so you run over then to there and let them say, no, this is not what's going to kill you. It's fine.
Right.
Aw. Well, I'm sorry that you. Oh, geez. Yeah. Hey, Barbara writes in, Susan, tell Susan she is likely not old, but yold, Y-O-L-D. She says Zanny Minton Bedos, I don't know who that is, was at Heinz Hall for a speaker series recently, and she said the new word is yold, Y-O-L-D, for those too young to be old, but too old to be young.
Yeah, I am yold.
You're yold.
You should have seen me. You should have seen me dancing at my daughter's wedding.
Yeah. But she said, the woman who said that said she calls herself old. Oh, she is approaching old. She was born in 1967. So you're definitely old. And I'm old. I mean, at what point did
Wait a minute. She was born in 1967 and she's calling herself yold?
No, she says she's approaching yoldness.
Okay, yeah. Because I was born in 51.
And I was born in the 40s.
I have, as they say, arrived.
Yeah. Yeah, you paid your dues. Anyway, her name is Susan Zanny Minton Bedos, is a British journalist. She is the 17th and first female editor-in-chief of The Economist. Oh, right.
Oh.
I remember she began working for the newspaper in 1994 as its emerging markets correspondent. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Well, good for you for going to lectures. I was thinking, I got to start doing more stuff, like forcing myself out.
I know, me too.
Why don't we do that?
But I don't know. I'm trying to take a page out of Mother's book and
never say no.
Make friends with younger people,
right?
And then and I'm and offer to take them places, and then you have company, like to the ballet or to the opera or
right. Right. I was once a younger person. Even actually, I mean, I had she's now deceased, but a wonderful older woman that I met on the board of the ACLU who would take me to the symphony because I was young to her.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And it was fun.
Yeah.
But I do think that that's part of Mother's success, that she continually makes new, younger
friends
who are truly her friends, but they're calling her all the time. Let's go out to dinner. And she has a life.
So there it is, and that brings me to a piece that I have been avoiding, but I'm going to it now because this fits right into it. And this was in the Washington Post a few weeks ago. Here's the headline: Making friends as an adult is hard. Would you pay $720 to someone to help you?
Oh, right. I saw that. I didn't read it. It's like a dating service for friends. I know they have that in Chicago, and I happen to know that 2 or 3 of my daughter's friends have used that when they moved in, just to meet people that they would find interesting and have people to do things with, and have made very good friendships out of people seeking friendships.
Well, so it's sort of like a dating service, but not.
Not. But it gives you people to go to theater with, like-minded people that enjoy the same sorts of things, and a way to meet them.
58% of Americans now say that technology has isolated them. Isn't that interesting? Because the whole sense of it was going to connect us. But people now work at home. They don't go in and, think of it. The ways we used to connect with people is you were forced together at work. An incredible number of people work from home now. 43% of American employees worked in a different location from their coworkers at least some of the time, and that was 2 years ago. Americans are marrying much later. They are staying single or not marrying at all. Loneliness is way up. And so there's this thing where you can pay someone to. The friend
They
app.
basically get a group of people together, and
Well, there's a number of them.
You meet people.
There's a friend app called Meet My Dog, which is for people who own dogs.
Right.
That might be. That's
how I met my
your friend
my
at the dog
friend
park
in Chicago, because that's about all I have time for. But I met this wonderful woman.
Yeah.
Bright, also a widow. I mean, we had a lot in common, but we met at the dog park.
Tourlina is a site that matches female travelers when you want to go somewhere, but you know, sort of uptight about going by yourself. They'll find you another woman to travel with. So, yeah.
I think that's a little risky. I don't know if I'd like to do that. I mean, that's like going on a date with another person for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it'd be too much. So, but here's one. There is one called this. I don't like the name. Rent a Friend. Really sounds pathetic.
Well, it sounds like a paid companion, like as in escort.
Yeah, and then there's another one called People Walker, where this one guy will come and walk with you all around. This is just in L.A., and he has other walkers who will walk with you at $21 for a half-hour walk. I don't know. That's not.
But that's not the same thing.
No.
What I'm talking about is really it's just sort of like a find a friend, and they would have, they'd have events, people interested in these sorts of things and that sort of thing, and you'd go and you'd meet people. The object is just to connect with people in a city. It's very difficult.
Here's a woman who charges $720 and up to match you with 3 people she thinks would be your friend. I don't know. It is. I don't know. Whatever.
Well, the fact of the matter is I don't think for at least people our age, the computers and social media and all that stuff are in our way. We still would meet people the same way by, you do board work. You put yourself out you meet people, and right. I've always been amazed that you did that so well.
Well, I don't think I do board work well, but I have met some wonderful people. But it's one thing to meet people in that capacity, but then to take the next step and
befriend them.
Make them friends. I don't know that I necessarily take that step. But yes, you end up with a lot more acquaintances, people you know. I don't know, but it is true that reaching out to others, if you're by nature, and you by nature are more sociable, that's important.
Yes, but I find myself totally satisfied by a good, fun conversation with the cashier at Whole Foods, and I'm done.
Then you're done. Well, that was good. That was my social interaction for the day. Goodbye.
Yeah, usually, it can last up to 5 minutes. I get a few laughs, and then I feel good, and I go home.
So, I read. Now, this is another interesting thing that I read today, and this also was from the Washington Post, which, by the way, is so much better than the New York Times. It is a joke. It is a joke. Better writing. Better sense of what the stories are, more interesting stories that are not,
There's always
politically
something to
related.
read in the Washington Post. And
I love it.
It's where I go the first.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Anyway, they had a piece today about how women. This is from an orthopedic surgeon, and I know they're right. Women, we've been socialized to sit in a certain way, right? What way is that, ladies? With your
legs crossed at the ankles and upright and what?
Yes, your
prim.
Knees together, knees together, which actually is a way of showing your virginal status. If your knees are apart, you're considered. I mean, it's unbelievable. That is why women are told to sit that way, while
right, to
men
hide their genitals. Yes.
Yes, while men, of course, and men sit. Most men will sit with both feet on the ground and their legs not
Spread.
not totally spread, but even at like 1 and 11 o'clock, right?
Well, let's just go hips width, and that's not so far apart.
But that's why women have more hip issues than men.
And back problems.
And back problems because of the way we have been socialized to sit. And it's the orthopedic surgeon who said, ladies, hip wide. Get both feet on the ground. Stop crossing your legs. You're pulling one hip. And they describe what physically you're doing. And, I have constant pain in one hip.
You're stretching one side and shortening the other.
Also,
and if you
right.
And if you do it long enough, you are constricting the bones in your vertebrae.
That's right.
You're, and I know this because I suffered from pain for years because of this.
So sit like a man. I am telling you now. And actually, I read the article, and then my hip was killing me as usual, and I thought, oh, well, you're sitting here with your legs crossed. And I uncrossed my legs, put both feet on the ground, widened my legs, and the pain went away.
Of course.
Well, okay, ladies, spread them. I mean, I'm telling you,
honest Injun, I walked around for 3/4 of my life thinking that my left hip was an inch
higher.
No, that my right hip was an inch higher than my left hip. And it wasn't until I moved to Chicago and went to one particular Pilates person who I will be for eternally grateful to, that she said, no, you're just all crunched in on this side, and we just need to stretch that out. Well, I went from taking anti-inflammatories daily to the point that I had a bleeding ulcer to I haven't taken anything in 5 years.
Yeah.
And I'm a 1/4 inch taller.
Yeah. So I'm telling you.
And both hips are even.
Hey! So I'm just telling you, don't just sit like a guy, okay? Not a jerk who's spread, but a guy, feet on the ground, and, hip width. And also lose the heels. Jeez. So anyway. That's really a good thing to know.
Yes. It is. I mean, I am like I proselytize about this.
Yeah.
Stuff.
No. Yeah. People. Yeah. Really. Really. Really.
Because it's life changing, and instead of taking pills to control pain, you can actually alter what my doctors called my congenital narrowing of my vertebrae, as if I was born that way and there was nothing I could do. Bull.
All right. So, Susan, I have a guy who writes me on occasion. I never share his stuff, but I am, just so you guys know. Okay? I don't want to give him a thrill, but here he is. Mark has written, and this is what he calls us: Leningrad Lynn and Stalingrad Sue.
Yeah.
You know what? Susan is more offended by your calling her Sue than the Stalingrad.
Yeah. Don't you ever. You call it the first part, who gives a shit.
Yeah,
but my name is not Sue, so I don't know who you're talking about. But what's his name? Ma? Yeah, I'll just call you Ma.
Ma. Right. Okay. He says, why are you so worried about the safety of your little precious Vindman?
Because of assholes like you, apparently.
He goes on, nobody's watching this Adam shit show anyway. Have you seen the ratings? As if that's what... This is why our country's doomed. This is serious business. Have you seen the ratings? Like it's an people just want to be entertain me. entertain you. You can't sit and take in information.
Well, I'll tell you, the only people that aren't listening are the people that are afraid to hear what these honorable people have to say. I mean, I don't know who it was that said it, but it's very true. Who are you going to believe? The people that are willing to take an oath and to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth and to testify, or the people that refuse to show up and are hiding behind some, refusing to talk. You prefer to believe the people that won't tell you that they're going to tell you the truth.
Here's more from the Army about Vindman and his safety. The Army will make sure he is safe, and the Army is actively supporting any safety needs as deemed necessary, according to an Army official. It is hard that he has been catapulted into the public eye. He served his country honorably for 20 years, and you can imagine this is a tough situation for him and his family.
But he's a patriot.
Yeah, well,
and
these guys wouldn't know a
patriot. He's called upon to tell the truth and tell what he knows, and that's what he's going to do. And they have a problem because they can't sully that.
These are Republicans.
If
remember
they do,
if you were
blow up in their face.
Yeah, you're going to thank him for his
in
service, like you reflexively thank everybody in uniform, except I just. Oh,
yeah,
boy.
right. Thank you for your service. Well, no, this is thank you for your service.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So, our local paper here, Susan, one of them, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, which now publishes a print edition just 3 days a week and is bleeding great journalists left, right, and center, and will not bargain with its union reporters. They haven't had a new contract in 3 years.
And has
fired Rob Rogers and is now just instituted. Right. So what's happened is that paper won the Pulitzer Prize this year for its reporting as a result of the Tree of Life massacre. But since they won the Pulitzer Prize this year, 16 seasoned journalists and editors at that paper have left. You can argue that they're forced out, they're bought out. They are gutting that place to the point where I can't even, the reporters are on a byline strike. They won't even put their names on their own work anymore. It's criminal. There's like nobody there. It's over. And you know what? You can't have, that means all the reporting that used to be done on what's happening in our city council, on the authorities, the water authority, the sewer authority, the convention center, blah, 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 all that stuff that we as citizens need to know. What's happening in the district attorney's office, who's doing it. None of that, or very little of it now, is getting covered. It's just, there are so many red flags that are up now that exhibit a true danger to a functioning democracy. And
right.
when the Fourth Estate, when the journalists are targeted, as the Republicans do target them now, as Devin Nunes did in his opening statement in the inquiry today, and as the president constantly does, using a Nazi phraseology, enemy of the people, referring to, Thomas Jefferson, for God's sake, said that, if he had one or the other, you can have a, what did he say? You can have a government or a free press. He said, give me the free press. That is indispensable.
Something like that. Right.
Or maybe it was Madison. I don't know. That is indispensable So to the gentleman who asked the question earlier about why is Trump being impeached as opposed to George W., because he's literally destroying every institution that holds this nation together. None are avoided. Even the NFL, he's gone after football, right? Politicized football, right? Everything.
Right, everything.
God almighty. So anyway. So Susan.
And so you question why I pray?
I'll leave you to pray. Hey, you know what? So I heard them swearing in Vindman and what's her name today, Jennifer something.
Yeah.
And they say, do you solemnly swear or what was affirm that you will tell the whole truth or something? But it still ends with so help you God. Now, I thought the affirm was there for people who don't want to swear on a Bible or this or that. And so why do they still have so help you God at the end of a
Don't ask me, because Republicans make you say it.
It just don't make no sense. So yesterday, just want to point this out, a coalition of civil rights organizations, including the Anti-Defamation League, the NAACP, sent a letter to the White House demanding that Stephen Miller be fired.
Yay.
Jonathan Greenblatt, head of the Anti-Defamation League, said, it is clear now with this trove of emails that have been uncovered that he sent to Breitbart that it is now substantiated that he is a white nationalist and he must resign. What's interesting, and this is how, the continuing degradation of the standards that of who should be serving in positions like this. Do you know last year a guy named Darren Beattie, no reason you should remember him, but he was a White House speechwriter. And he was kicked out after CNN did a report that he had actually spoken at a conference alongside several white nationalists. That was enough 2 years ago. A presidential speechwriter showed up and stood on a stage with some white nationalists, and the White House said, you got to go. And now, with Stephen Miller, who's right next to the president, one of his chief aides, he doesn't have to go. And he did more than stand on a stage next to white nationalists.
He devised white nationalist policies, which are currently in effect.
There are 900 emails that he wrote that just show that he's totally into the white nationalist view of the world and playbook. And he wrote these emails not when he was in the White House. He wrote them when he was an aide to then Senator Jefferson Beauregard Sessions. That's where Stephen Miller comes from. Why wouldn't he? Jeff Sessions is probably one step away from being a white nationalist himself.
Right.
We're in trouble. I just don't know what else to say. We're just in big trouble. I don't think I have anything else here. I peaked too soon.
Guys,
and I'm done.
No.
I know. We got 5 minutes, and I'm
so exhausted. I'm of absolutely no use today. I apologize.
No, you don't have to. Susan, can you imagine? Susan has just gone through the marriage of her daughter this weekend, and That is such an exhausting. I think everyone should elope. I am going to start a movement. Everybody elope. It's exhausting.
It was, yes, but it was lovely. For me, it was principally exhausting just because I had so many people from both sides of my family in one place, plus my friends flying in.
Yeah, but you can't.
Plus,
there's no way you
new
ever.
people. And it was just, that was hard work. I mean, it was wonderful, but it was very hard work, and just left me feeling like, oh, I didn't get to see anybody.
No, that's right. It's like when you give a big party. The few times like I've thrown a big party for myself for like a big birthday or something, I'm the only one who never has a good time, because you end up having to make sure you've greeted and talked with and spent some time with absolutely everybody there, but not a lot, because you have to move on and get somebody else, and you're also sort of in charge. And you end up thinking afterwards, I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't have, you know what I mean?
Right. At least I can say, and I'm very grateful to the people who did not do this, and therefore I have some pictures, but I left my phone, back in the bride's room, and I tried so hard to be in the moment and remember what was happening.
Right.
And I just want you to know that I don't.
That you don't what? What? I didn't follow that.
Remember what happened.
Oh. Well, I think you had a good time.
We'd have. I think it was a very good wedding, and I say that because of how many people were still in that room when the
lights went off.
When they started breaking started breaking up the event. Right.
Right. So. Right. When you had to be shooed out of the venue. Well.
Right.
Yeah. So. All right, I'm ending because I'm done. I can't think of anything else. We've talked about my.
Okay, goodbye.
Okay. All right, Suze. Bye.
Okay, put up that pretty picture of us. We deserve it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Yeah, guys, I'm done. So I don't know what to do tomorrow with Sondland testifying. I just feel like I want to hear it. Let me know what you think. I should do the show. I guess. Okay. As I'm running right now and going to tune in. Although it is so hard to listen to these Republicans, these traitorous SOBs, trashing these great patriotic Americans. Just beyond belief what we've come to. Okay, I'm done. I'm out. If you got a stopwatch on me, I'm quitting 2 minutes early. So sue me, okay? Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.